Man, we're back to driving to work in the dark again now. Interesting. Time change is a pain in the butt. I wish we could leave it like this, though, like Christmas time. Unfortunately, when we need the extra daylight at night to deliver mail around Christmas time, then, of course, we have to do it in the dark. I'd love it if we could leave it like this, even though I don't mind it getting dark early if I'm not delivering mail, you know. Had an interesting comment on a video I did yesterday talking about the postal workers. And, the guy was saying how so many people at the post office have this go slow, get paid more mentality. And he's right. I've seen plenty of people like that in my life. And had to deal with them when I was working as an acting supervisor to try and make them do their job. And you can't really do it, because then if you try to make somebody do their job, then they're looking to try and screw you over somehow. You know, you think that people are your friends until you have to try and supervise them, and then you realize that that us against them, management versus craft mentality runs deep in a lot of people. The idea that we're all on the same team, trying to keep the postal service going, is totally foreign to a lot of people. But it was interesting, the comment that this guy made, talking about how we should get paid like half as much as we do, and all the benefits and stuff we have that we shouldn't have. And it really highlighted the difference in attitude that people have about things. And a lot of people who work at the Postal Service don't understand. When they're bitching and moaning about how badly things are going for them and how they don't make enough money, that there are an awful lot of other people out there who look at what we have and they're not sympathetic to us whining about shit. They think, man, you guys have it made. And that might not be true for the people who just started out, don't really have a huge amount of benefits, or their hourly wage is not that that high. But still, a lot of guys who work at the post office, they think they can go out and complain to other people about how horrible things are and how, well, we should have got this, we should have got that, and how underpaid we are, and act like they should be making $40, $50 an hour. And they don't understand that most people, when they hear that, they don't agree with that. They're not sympathetic to it at all. You look at people in the private sector, and most people, the kind of money they're making and the kind of work they have to do to make it, and how people have to hustle all the time. Now, for me, of course, working at the post office, I don't really share that attitude, because, I too have gotten used to it being the way it is. When you've been somewhere and you've worked within that environment for a long time, it doesn't seem unusual to you. And for me, I don't think that we should look at people who are not getting all the stuff that they should, and then use those as an example of, well, then if they don't have a job where they're making, enough money to survive, that means nobody should. That's a silly point of view to me. But you have to understand that a lot of people, when they look around at federal workers or the post office and people like that, all they see when they look at it is waste and greed. That's where all this Doge stuff comes from, and why so many people are cheering on Trump and all this stuff, because they just automatically think that federal worker equals lazy piece of crap who's being overpaid. So a lot of people, it's like with this recent contract thing with the NALC, they think, oh, we can get this to arbitration and somebody's going to give us a whole lot more than what we could have had. It's going to be interesting to see, especially in today's current environment. I personally would have liked it if we could have approved that tentative agreement and had things at least locked in through 26, but you don't know what's going to happen. A lot of people, though, who are wrapped up in this environment, the kind of insulated world of the Postal Service, especially if they've been there a while, they really don't understand how other people view us and the attitude that they have about our situation. I remember a long time ago when I first started at the post office, I was talking to this guy, and he was bitching and whining about things. And of course, I was happy, man. It's like I told him about some of the other jobs I've had in my life. Like, like when I was working at this one machine shop in Wichita, we were a subcontractor for Boeing, made small aluminum aircraft parts. Man, you got there in the morning, you started out, a buzzer went off partway through the day, take your 10-minute break. By the time the buzzer went off again, you were expected to be back at your machine making parts, Then you had your half-hour lunch break. In the afternoon, another 10-minute break, buzzer went off, same thing. When the buzzer goes off again 10 minutes later, you're expected to be back at your machine making parts. And there wasn't any of this kind of stuff. People think they should just be able to make their own schedule, determine for themselves what pace they ought to go or whatever. A lot of people don't understand after they've been with the post office for a while. That's not the way most places are. And people sometimes forget. And they don't understand that other people are looking at us and thinking, man, you guys haven't made. So sometimes it's not really good for people. I understand. I'm going to get comments from people who think that, hey, we always need more. And Boeing got this, or the dock workers got this, or whatever. Which we'll see how that works out. But especially in an era where the Postal Service is always, on the news, losing money and stuff like that, and running huge deficits. I don't know why so many postal workers think that they're going to get some kind of sympathy from everybody out there and always be asking for more, instead of thinking, just being happy for the fact that we have a job with some decent security, at least for the moment. I don't know how long that's going to last, but for sure, if we don't do something about the reputation that people, the way people see us, that we're just a bunch of people who are screwing around and getting paid for it. We know, of course, that that's not the way it is, that we're out there working. But still, a lot of people who haven't been in the private sector for a while are trying to make a living in other places, in a non-union job, non-government job. They've lost track of how hard people have to work and what people are going through out there. And we have to be careful of that, just our attitude toward things, Obviously, like I say, do I think we're overpaid? Not necessarily. But I understand a lot of people out there looking at us who just don't have everything we do. All the benefits and all of that, all the paid time off and things, all the federal holidays and stuff, And all these postal workers want to go out there and whine in the media and act like, we're being tortured or something. And that's just not the way most people see it.